Peace, what's going on, y'all? This is Coach Hussein, back again with another video. Militant One, fight can't be eternal. In the past few weeks, what I've been doing is I've been scrolling on YouTube and I've been searching. I've been looking at and studying street fights. Now, the reason why I've been studying street fights is due to the fact that there are people who train for various reasons. Some of the reasons we train, we want to feel good, we want to feel better, we want to be healthier. Primarily when it comes to training combatively, we want to be able to have the skills to defend ourselves and protect ourselves and others from any threat that comes our way. In particular, when people like to say they train for the street, how many people actually study street fights? If you're saying that you train for the street, hold up real quick, I'm going to cross the street right quick. I'm on my way to work. Okay, I'm safely across now, so. But if you say you train for the street and you're not studying street fights, and you're not looking at film, because even if you're a professional coach and you're training fighters to be professional fighters, you should be studying film. You should do the same thing when it comes to street fights. Because a fight can break out anywhere. And I think when people talk about street fights, I don't know if they really are talking about, like I just said, fights that happen anywhere, okay? A fight can break out right now as I'm walking to work. A fight can break out in a convenience store. It can break out at work. You get in a fight at your job. I've seen videos where guys are fighting not only in the street, but they're fighting in, restaurants. I've seen fights in McDonald's. We already know what happens in Waffle House. And there's two things I check for. One, I check for people who have some modicum of combat expertise. Okay, I look for people who actually look like they know what they're doing in the fight. And some of the videos, I'll watch a video on YouTube. It's about 5 minutes long or 6 minutes long of people in street fights. Maybe one of them at the most have shown some type of some glimpse of combat, knowledge. Everyone else is just throwing haymakers. They're just throwing punches. All of them going straight to the head. They're not going to any other part of the body. When they grapple each other, someone's lifting the other guy up and slamming them on the ground. They're getting on the mount position. I've seen only one person, like I said. They got into a fight. The white boy and the black boy. They were fighting each other, and the white boy looked like he was actually good at fighting, like he actually knew what he was doing, like he was way more prepared than the other guy. The white guy worked his way inside, slipped his punches, got a couple punches in, lifted the kid up, slammed him on the ground, got in full mount, pressed his elbow on the back of his head, and just kept on delivering headshots. You know what's funny about people who fight and they don't have any type of combat training? They have a tendency to emulate what they see in a real fight. So if they've watched boxing matches before, if they watch UFC or any other type of MMA, if they watch combat sport of any kind, what they'll do is they'll try to emulate to the best of their ability. At least when they get into a fighting stance, they'll emulate what they see professionals do. And it all goes out the window once they start throwing punches. And just for kicks, have any of you ever seen the video of the two black boys with boxing gloves on, and they're just throwing haymaker after haymaker at each other, and not one punch makes contact? It's sad, but it's hilarious. And I would say it's more sad than hilarious, because how in an exchange like that do you see two people not land one punch? I made a video when I first started my channel. It was a 30-minute rant about the importance of people, men in particular, how they have to know how to fight, and they should know how to fight. One thing I know about the untrained person, I won't say untrained fighter because that's an oxymoron, is that they will firmly believe that knowing how to fight doesn't matter in the fight, which is the dumbest thing to me. But the reason why they have this type of mindset is because they're going off of their own personal experience. Experience and training go hand in hand. In fact, when you think about it, you get the training first and then you get the experience. Now, sometimes it's reversed. Ideally, you get the training first and then you get the experience. But some people get the experience first and then they get the training. It's worse, obviously, when they get the experience, when they're put in situations where they have to fight and they come out successful, and because of that, they feel like they don't need to learn how to fight. And they feel like that because more often than not, they don't lose fights. Or they hold their own in a way where you ever seen two people fight and they get it in so good, like forget whether or not they're actually skilled at fighting. The fight is just so good, you can't pick a clear-cut winner. It's that type of thing, okay? But erroneously, they go off their own personal experience because they feel like because they won the majority of the fights they've been in, they don't need to learn how to fight. But the funny thing about them is deep down, they know full well that if someone knows how to fight, if they're going up against somebody and the person they're going up against knows how to fight, unless they're just dead set on the person's destruction, they're going to fall back against them. Like I said, people by nature are hare hunters, but if you hit someone where they're not expected to be hit, chances are they won't be so motivated or determined to continue to fight. So the street fighter, at the end of the day, is only going to go off experience. Here's where the trained fighter is lacking. That's where they're lacking experience. Because just because a person has the skills doesn't necessarily mean they have the mental state to go to that mode where, come hell or high water, I'm going to make it out of here one way or another. Okay? And when you are in a street fight, essentially that's the mindset you have to have. You don't necessarily have to, kill or anything like that. You don't have to have a kill or be killed mindset to the point where you got to actually kill your opponent. But you do have to have a kill or be killed mindset to where you got to make it out of there. But if you're going to say, because this is the whole point of this video, if you're going to say that you train for the street, study street fighting, look at how people fight. Okay? That's an important aspect to becoming better at fighting. You have to know what you will potentially be getting into. Because just because you know that you can kick someone's ass and because people know that you have skills doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be scared of you. Because everybody's been through some stuff. And just because you know how to break a man down easily doesn't necessarily mean you actually will break a man down easily. But don't think that a person who doesn't have training has any edge over the one who does have training outside of experience. Even though the rule is, if you have experience, you should, if you have training, you should not lose to whoever doesn't have training. I can't pick up a ball and go challenge Tyrese Maxey one-on-one to a game of basketball and think I'm going to come out victorious. That ain't happening, okay? I don't play ball. My jump shot sucks. I only dribble with one hand, and I'm not good even doing that. Okay? Whenever I play ball, I was a defensive guy. Steals, blocks, you know, that's all I did. I was a role player, and I did that like I was supposed to. Okay? But go and study how people fight. Okay? Another thing about fighting in the street is the environment is something that people use to their advantage. I watch these videos and I've seen guys, they get slammed into stoves, they get trash cans thrown at them, you see them grab their shirt and they pull their shirt over top of them and then they start beating them over top of their heads. Things like this happen in the street fight. Okay? So these are the things you gotta look for when you talk about untrained for the street. Because literally anything goes. You can't concern you. There's a video I seen. I don't know if any of you guys out there are familiar with Tony Blauer, but he said all the training in the world, while it matters, what you really need is intensity and speed. And you do need to have the mindset where, as opposed to looking at it as if he throws this punch, I'll counter with this attack and move. You need to have the mindset of, I'm getting him the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. Because that's what you need to do. Get the opponent out of here. You can't play and dance along with the guy all day and all night. You got to get rid of the threat as quickly as possible. So that's my 2 cents. It's been a while. I wanted to make this video. I'm on my way to work. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, train daily. Peace.